What it takes to be a radio jockey is just your ability to string together words to kind of bring out emotions in the oldest way possible, which is just through voice. There's so much that you can do with your voice. I mean, I have had so many inspirations in my life to get here, but I think what got me to be a jock and what can get other people to, pursue this as an offbeat career or have it as part of their offbeat career today. There's so many ways to express yourself. I think to be a jock today means you need to really understand how you can use just your voice and nothing else to communicate. It's the most beautiful way to talk to somebody. And we're seeing not just radio do this, but we're also seeing podcasts, achieve this. So when the video killed the radio star, I just have to say that it hasn't really killed the radio star, right? I think radio stars will always be omnipresent, and there's so many wonderful ones across the world. But if you are able to use your voice and make a difference, either make one person smile or one person feel better or one person feel motivated, I think that's really all that counts. So I'm saying for everybody who's watching this, every young person, radio is not dead. Radio stars are not dead. Of course, they may have new avatars. You may see them on social media, but I think the plain old brilliance and beauty of just your voice, heard on a radio station, in your car or at home, just that beauty of that story, I think it is, whether it was used during the World War to mitigate disasters and to disseminate information, or today when you're entertaining somebody on the drive, I think there's still so much of relevance. I think voice over everything else. Even though I blog now and I do a lot of things as well, I still think radio, the old magic of it, if you can feel it, if you can breathe it, if you think your voice can tell a story, then you're in for it, either as a radio jockey or as a podcaster today, more relevant to contemporary teens and tweens who might be watching this. Well, I think risks are definitely the center point of today's life. I mean, I wish I was someone who was born in the 2000s. Sadly, or in a good way, maybe I get a bit of the both worlds of both the worlds. I'm an 80s child, but I think young people today, and I work with a lot of them in the last decade, I think in every new profile or job that I've taken up within the subset of being a radio jock, I work with producers, digital creators, like my latest producer, she's just 22. And someone I work in the, vlogging space is also around 21, 22. And I don't want to tell you how many years ago that was for me, but all I can say is, when I see these youngsters, so many things that they want to do. I meet young people who want to do radio, who want to do, vlogging, who want to do podcasting, who want to do YouTubing, who want to do TikToking, if that's even a verb, but I see that the younger generation is already taking risks. And because of them, we much older people are wanting to join the bandwagon and have fun. So I think overall the world's reaching a place where risk taking, especially with respect to the career choices that you make, is like a big thing in the game. So if you want to genuinely go out and be somebody who wears your heart on your sleeve and who wants to explore, whether it's traveling, fashion, modeling, cinema, or even if you want to be, like somebody very different within the IT space. Maybe you want to be someone who's exclusively working on artificial intelligence. I have some friends at Microsoft to do that. I mean, the whole idea is whatever you do, take a risk, because that's the only way that you can step to the next level. So it doesn't matter whether it's radio or technology or, video, whatever it is, I would say risk taking. I'm seeing the young people do it and I'm learning from them. It's actually the inverse way. They're so adaptive. I mean, you give them a TikTok dance, they'll do it. You give them, like for people in tech and medicine and stuff like that, young kids, you give them a reason to go out there and do something nice. They want to experiment. They want to see how they can bring the best of all the worlds into their jobs. So I think you even have 8-year-old CEOs like I have interviewed in Chennai, and just a couple of years ago, she was just 8, the youngest CEO. So I think young people are taking their risks. The only maybe word of caution I would give anyone who's watching this is try and see if you're not too carried away. Try and see what you are really good at and hold on to it, because I think I have that problem too. I become a Jane of all trades, and sometimes I don't do the best in any. So the one thing is to zoom in on what you like. So if you like the environment and animals, and that's what you want to do, I have a friend's son who wants to do that. The last time I met Nathan, he was just like 10 or whatever. He was 10 or whatever, and he used to, watch everything on every species of plants and animals that are out there, and he wanted to be a guy who's in that space, right? So I'm just saying, take the risks, but see what you want to specialize in, and then, yeah, move forward. So radio is at a very different sort of a junction right now, to be honest, because lots of people were not on the roads, and that usually, at least in the main metros, the way people listen to the radio, right? I mean, they're on their stereos in the car. But I think the future of radio, especially because of this lockdown, now it's going to get accelerated, is the evolution of digital media with radio. So it's going to be a big crossover. I don't know if you know this, people are watching this. The world's biggest podcaster, Joe Rogan, who also has a podcast on YouTube. I think all his podcasts are so famous, so popular. So this guy basically, has just signed $100 million with Spotify. So we know that the future of radio is definitely podcasts, digital integrations, getting your clients on board through like a holistic sort of a appeal. And I mean, I work in the digital space, so I know that this needs to be the future of radio, and the quicker people pick up on it, like I think the Hindustan Times is now picking it up, with Fever, Radio 1 and Nasha, Fever Commercial Bollywood, Radio 1 International in the three main metros, Bombay, Delhi and Bangalore, which is where I'm in, and Nasha, which is old school retro Bollywood, right? They have definitely understood that the future is digital, and there's so many campaigns that they do. So whether it's with, like, say, a Nor soap, or whether it's with Zomato, or it's with a CureFit, or it's with any of the new apps that are on board right now. I mean, in terms of advertisers, I think digital content and integration is very important. So if you look at the radio per se, it's divided into programming, which is basically people who program the shows. And you have the people who are client servicing. In client servicing, they basically service clients and see what best they can do there. Just giving you a broad idea. So the broad brushstrokes are these, and then you have the guys who sell, and then sometimes you have the guys who market. In this kind of a difficult market, no marketeers, but definitely lots of the sales guys and client servicing guys. So what I was just trying to say that is that every team now is kind of sensitive to the fact that a client or a listener is looking at a digital footprint. And so, it's going to be a very exciting time ahead to see how every, brand of radio stations, whether it's Radio City or Red FM or Big FM or, any of the big networks, the big daddies of the radio industry, Mirchi included, of course. Mirchi started a little early with their digital sort of appeal. But I think the future is going to be, while the lockdown has made business and economics really tough, if we need to get back, in this game, I think digitization of radio is going to be the big daddy of development in the upcoming years. So everyone who's watching this, it's not just going to be TikTok, okay? Radio and digital is going to be just like Gen Z version of how old school radio will evolve eventually towards. Yeah. COVID-19 is an entirely new phenomenon, and the way that it has changed the world in the last 70 days or 80 days, so just the first part of this year, is that it's just crazy. It's made every industry go into like a Black Mirror episode format, where you're suddenly forced to do things that you never kind of, reckoned yourself to, even come to terms with. So I think it's really a game setting, a trailblazing kind of a trend. I think it's changing the way the game is being played. And you're now seeing that, even with respect to sport, I'm just taking it out here for a bit. Now, if you're a Man U fan, or you're a Liverpool fan, or you're a Barca fan, or you're a Team India fan with respect to cricket, or you're a Federer fan, I'm just getting it out of the context just to give you an idea. Even huge stars like this, you are seeing them now looking at reinvented rules, right? Like the Champions League can be played without an audience, or if you have like the Olympics coming in and having a completely new sort of a format, or will we have an IPL this year? These are questions that are happening at a larger level, right? With respect to entertainment. So when it comes to radio, I think the simplicity of the format is also what's the biggest advantage. So while the other bigger mediums and industries are taking time, like the ones that have suffered a backlash, I'm not talking about tech companies like Zoom and Microsoft and Google that are still doing well, in fact, doing better, Instagram, Facebook, Microsoft, all of those. But I'm talking about the ones that have been struggling. Radio should have actually gone down the dump, but it didn't, because it's so easy to have identified a format of how you can do this digitally like overnight, and it has of course taken us a lot of time and effort to get it right, and I still think we're sharpening it there. But I think COVID-19 has taught us radio professionals that anything can happen at any time. Be prepared for change, be ready to adapt, and whether you're a Virat Kohli, or whether you're a Anushka Sharma, or whether you're like Ashley Graham, or you're like a Joe Rogan, digitization of anything today is going to be the largest sort of revolution up ahead. So whether it's virtual reality with respect to, your gaming and sports, or whether it comes to, podcasting of radio shows, or whether it comes to, let's say, having a virtual reality bar experience, sitting at home. I saw this on BBC the other day. Boy is sitting at home and he's recreated his favorite bar, and he can't go there and, drink his beer. So he's doing this at home. So I'm saying every industry is going to see a big boom. Now, for someone who's an old school romantic like me, who still likes to just sit by that window behind me, let the sun stream onto my face and just read a book, the good old times, for someone who like me, who likes that nostalgia, it's a different sort of an experience. But I think we need to move with the times, and we just have a bit of the old, bit of the new, and we're looking forward to a good revolution ahead. Every single RJ, no matter how big or small they are in the system in terms of, recognition, or, awards and stuff like that, I think all that, of course, matters for the jock. But what matters for every radio jock is, no matter what show you're doing, night show, afternoon show, morning show, evening show, just coming in between on little sweeps or bumpers, or whatever way you're communicating with your audience, you are somebody who's bringing in a lot of joy and happiness to somebody, and someone who's not feeling okay. And that's why radio, I think, will never die, even the original traditional format, is because if someone out there who's driving, who's just having a bad day, who's just had a terrible scene with the boss, or had a breakup, and this is happening, pretty much all the time, honestly. People are getting their hearts broken at work and at home, and just themselves. It's something we go through personally as well. So somebody listening in can WhatsApp, can, talk to us. And I'm someone who's always been a very sort of a non-celebrity jock, basically somebody who is very relatable. And across my 12 years, I've really not picked any awards, and I've not, gone on that track, though I have friends who are brilliant and who received national awards. And a special mention to my friend Disha, who is my longest, buddy in radio. She receives awards and she absolutely deserves it. Kudos to her for that. She recently received a President's Award as well, Disha Oberoi from Bangalore. But for me, I think it's been a matter of just plain relatability, doing something simple, and doing it with fun, and with a big smile on my face. So it really is infectious. If you were listening to me, if you're around me, and if you come into my studio, a lot of my listeners actually walk into my studio, guests walk into my studio whenever they can. Now it's a little difficult, but I'm sure those times will come back. So I think Kay from Good Morning Bangalore, my morning host, I do the evening on Radio 1 Bangalore. Both of us across the last 3 years have done some very, very engaging work with our listeners. They come in, they bring their dogs, they bring their food, they bring in their kids, they bring in their love, they bring in their problems, and they really treat us as family. So I don't know if I'll ever get that in any other form of, media, because even digital, YouTube, you have your family, literally your subscribers, but radio gives you a real chance to meet them in real. And I really hope for that sake that radio continues its traditional love for a long while to come, no matter how much digitization happens. So yeah, I think we've always been anchors of support and love and joy, and we bring you different things to the table. Different jocks bring different things to the table, but I think at the end of the day, we all have just one idea in our head. Apart from the sales guys, of course, they have multiple ideas in their head because they're always wanting to sell. But as far as we're concerned, our hope is just to put the happy in your day, wherever you are, whichever city you live in, however you're listening to us. If you're able to connect to us and feel better by talking to us, meeting us, tweeting us, whatever, do it and be happy. That's it. Yes, so the Happiness Project is something I kickstarted during the lockdown, and I did everything, literally every blog out there for free. Though I'm a vlogger and I charge for my usual work, I said the Happiness Project is something that I'm going to put out there on my Instagram, only so that even if it's a limited number of people, if it's 5, 10, 100, the views is not the point. The idea is anybody who stumbles upon that, if there's a way that you will smile, because the person in that video is a musician, a chef, a traveler, a fashionista, a movie making person, an actor, I don't know, depending on whoever it is, if they can share with you what they're doing in their life, either during lockdown or outside, and if they can inspire a smile on your face, that's all that counts. So, I mean, the Happiness Project is something I plan to continue even after the lockdown, whenever I have time. Of course, with brands, I will have to figure out the commercial equation. But for people who are local businesses, who are vocal about being local and about getting back on track, I really extend this as a shout out to anyone watching this anywhere in the country or the world. If you're doing something that is beautiful, that you feel amazing about, and that you think can add to the happiness of somebody else out there, no matter what you're doing, whether you're building houses in Manali that are, absolutely eco-friendly and made of more elements of nature. And I actually had some boys talk about this. Or whether you're making music or you're, writing poetry, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're happy and you think that can make somebody else happy, why not? So that is what the Happiness Project is all about. And I do hope that it continues, even though I've kind of gotten back to regular work. I would love to keep it going, because I think if I can make somebody happy, and the same rule as radio as well, if I can make one person listening to me on air happy, or one person watching me on my gram happy, I'm done. I don't care about it being watched by 1.5 million people, or, it doesn't matter. The numbers don't matter. If it's one person who smiled, the Happiness Project is for you. So online trolling and bullying, because I did like a little bit of research and a lot of reading with respect to the boys' locker room and the girls' locker room case, and I realized this much, whether it's Delhi, which is where it happened, and it's also the same place where the Delhi MMS happened, and then you have constant trolling of kids and adults and everybody on the internet. I think the way that kids can deal with this again, I think, goes to the parents and to the people in their ecosystem, right? So first thing you got to recognize is all of your kids, whether you like it or not, are active on social media today. Because they have access to social media and varying platforms, now they are going to experiment and explore. And we did this a little later in life, and we also did the same mistakes, but we possibly did not have a digital impact. I'm saying mistakes as in, learning about dating, about sending stuff online. Now, these are things that we've all done, right? I mean, we've all been part of this generation where we had a phone in our hands. But now, more than ever, your kids are having it earlier. They're exposed to, if I may say, they're exposed to a lot of adult content online. They're exposed to a lot of things that you don't even know, even if you have child lock or whatever you have, they're going to figure it out, because this is a very technologically advanced generation. So I think the kids and the parents at a very early age need to understand and acknowledge this. And parents, by saying, I don't want you to have an Instagram, have to understand there's something called Finsta, where you have a fake Insta account, like a different kind of an account, which is private or whatever, and you can do whatever. So in the sense, just by barring them from using social media or whatever, they're going to be on the internet nevertheless. So acknowledging that at first, talking to your kids, it goes back to my point of talking to your kids about what is out there, because if you troll somebody, and if you get hurt or if you get exposed, in any way, if something of yours is out there, like it happened with those girls, and then that case is a separate case, but the whole point is it could happen to anyone even without the knowledge of someone senior or an adult in the family. So the first thing is that the adult has to communicate and understand. You can't ban it. You have to understand the child has a social media presence. So talk to them, make them understand that they have to be responsible about their content, about their DMs, about the private chats, about their, the perils of putting out stuff out there, and telling them that it could be taken off and used somewhere else, and you could lose your identity, you could lose your faith. And we've seen all these stupid challenges like the, I don't know, blue whale challenge, and then all these weird challenges that keep coming in, so which lead to suicide, which lead to depression, which lead to fear, because if they've not told their parents and they're caught, right? Like, which is what happened in the boys locker room case. They come from fantastic families, right? These boys, and then this girl creating a fake account in order to test her boyfriend. All these things are going to happen. It's coming of age, which we've experienced, but it's coming of age online and having a separate identity online. So your virtual identity is almost bigger than your real identity. And this is a crisis that if people don't talk about, we are going to lose a lot of our children to depression, to suicide, to mental health issues, and to danger, like real danger. I'm talking about, danger that tantamounts to death. Like that girl who put up, this thing about the boy 2 years ago who affected her, who asked her out, who did something inappropriate. And then the boy tried to talk to the world again, but then the girl was given advantage. And even though I'm a believer of feminism, I'm a believer of equality when it comes to feminism. So not giving the guy a chance and everybody jumping on him and trolling him, and then him committing suicide, and then it coming back to her, and now they want to troll her. I mean, I think trolling will continue. But if you don't have conversations, you don't have safe spaces with your parents, with young adults outside, with teachers, it should be a community. If that support is not built, we're in for some serious trouble. The number of mental health platforms for young adults today online is like a real, symbolization of what's really happening. If we don't create these safe spaces online and offline and together, like, bring them together, we're going to have a very troubled young India. So yeah, I think conversations and safe spaces and definite awareness programs with a lot of adults and kids and teens and tweens involved. I think open conversations, whether it's about even like, say, tell your kids what is LGBTQ when they're 10. Tell them about it, because they're anyway going to find out from somebody else. And if they're going to find out about their sexual identity or orientation online before they actually find it offline, then you're in for a lot of trouble. So all I'm saying is conversations from a very early age, from the time the kid is like actually 4 or 5, and all the way up until they're in their 20s, 30s, just from there, all the way through. We need to have this spectrum of real conversations and safe spaces. That's the only way forward. Otherwise, as a population, we're going to be definitely very disjointed and disturbed.